showtime. Dynamite Download. Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
You know, Mariah May, Shaboom.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
That you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
And with the loss of Brody, I feel like we were just kind of a little bit directionless.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
Raw force.
Raw force?
Oh my god!
Amazing.
I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
You said that in front of the voice of a generation?
It was Frank match.
Awesome. This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
They spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
What up?
What is up, everyone? Apologize in advance for the audio, or if I'm glitching at all. I'm on a little bit of a kind of out in the wilderness with some sketchy Wi-Fi, and I forgot my microphone, but we're here. Dynamite Download, episode 194 on the road to All In. Man,
Can't believe
4 hours of AEW television in just over 24 hours, Mind. How you feeling?
I can't believe it that 2 weeks from yesterday, Full Tilt Deb and I will be in the Dallas area ready for the All In week. And then 2 weeks from this Saturday, we're going to be rocking and rolling. I can't believe it. It's that
feels
close.
Like forever ago we booked that.
Yeah, I can't believe it's coming up. I've been training. I don't know if you all saw my Instagram and Twitter post earlier that with the inspiration, I had a heck of a workout. I'm in training for Texas Heat. I'm trying to get ready for it because I know it's going to be brutal. I might have to wear my old sombrero a little bit to beat the heat, but it's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward.
We'll get a double Young Bucks flex outside of Globe Life Field. There, we'll get a picture of double Dynamite Download flex.
Yes, we've got it. We got to do it Outrunner style. Is what we got to do. And now I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody right now. You know, we are a professional broadcasting, news coverage of AEW, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling. Just like we say in the intro, welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage for all elite wrestling. I say that in the intro, and that's what we're here for. But I'm going to ask everybody's permission to let me mark out a little bit, because this is the first time I've ever gone to one of these meet and greets. And we've got a professional interview side, but Friday I'm kind of going to turn into a pure fan for a while. So,
well, I mean, that's why being fans and being marks and supporting what you enjoy. And then this is just an extension of that. Granted, yes. There's a layer of that with Dynamite Download, but what drew us to start this is being super fans, and that's being able to meet and greet and get close and go to shows and things like that with your favorite people that we've been following for years. Like, it's going to be an awesome week. I really can't wait, man. It's just jam packed, and it's I think I have our schedule. We'll post our schedule. What we're going to do, when shows are going to air. Unfortunately, we're not going to be airing live on Thursday in 2 weeks because we're going for, first off, we're going to Collision. Then we're going to be walking our way, actually driving our way back to Arlington for AEW karaoke. We'll do some live streams on our Instagram or X, and we'll see how that's going to go out. Brent's going to be joining us at karaoke. FTD is going to be joining us at karaoke, so it's going to be a good time. So we'll be posting all of our schedule. Some shows might not be live, but definitely tune into our social handles on X and Instagram to follow along of all that week. Because you get down there, like you said, Wednesday, down there on Wednesday, the 9th. I'll get down there with Brent, I believe, is coming in on the 10th, Thursday. And then it's going to be rocking and rolling all weekend long.
It's going to be so much fun. And if we can't get, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get to the Ring of Honor show Friday. We might have the General might be able to get in there and report. We're going to find out. We're trying to work some things out. If not, it means we're going to go to GCW. I have a personal vested interest in GCW because I actually booked one of the main events of GCW. It is the battle for the title of Indie God between Matt Cardona and Shotzi Blackheart. So I am actually super invested in that, but super invested as they continue, as we get closer to All In. Everything just keeps building up. When they announced the men's and women's casino gauntlet, I got very comfortable. I thought let's freaking go, because there's always surprises. There's always surprise returns. There might even be some surprise debuts. I think we got a hint at one of the women debuts that's going to be happening soon. I definitely am surprised in Seattle that we didn't get a return, but I'm wondering if they're saving him for the gauntlet as well. But super excited. It's going to be so much fun. And there's good, like our ad says, there will be shenanigans as well. So you want to make sure that you click, not only if you've subscribed already, make sure you hit that bell, because notification for when we go live. Also on our Instagram, when we go live. There's going to be all kinds of shenanigans, and you never know who's going to pop on with us. You might see your favorite AEW superstar or a favorite AEW ref, personality, or you might just see somebody else that you didn't think would see. Woo! You never know.
Like FCD.
Yes, exactly.
So real quick before we dive into Dynamite, and for those of you who are watching Collision, man, that was such a for 4 hours of wrestling. That last match with the crowd had me cracking up with all their chants, with the Kyle chants. Oh my God, holy Kyle! We Kyle people, we Kyle people, and it's just like them just Kyle said, because it's so clever. Like, I thought that was just like, I was trying to catch on at first. I'm like, oh my gosh, they just keep saying Kyle to everything, and that was just so funny and an awesome match. And hopefully we'll have time to talk about that. But yeah, Steven, I'm working on. Being down, living in South Carolina, I have the boots, but I don't have the hat. So I'm going to. I want to get a custom cowboy hat made to fit my head perfectly in a nice, pinch that I want. So it's been on the list to get a cowboy hat. So I'm definitely going to get one for All In. So stand by for that. Maybe I'll wear it to karaoke or something.
I'll bring my chaps. I got my light up chaps. I'll wear those. Absolutely. I want to talk about that because, again, Deb's favorite wrestler made an appearance after Collision. And a lot of people didn't know about this, but he came out and he officially grabbed the microphone. The crowd went nuts. And in light of all the Kyle stuff, he officially dubbed Kyle, not Kyle Fletcher. Kyle O'Reilly has now been renamed as Kyle Danielson. So he was able to rename him that. So that was pretty cool. We're probably going to see Bryan Danielson at All In, but he probably won't be. He may not. I don't think he's going to be wrestling per se, but he might be involved in the Moxley fallout. And he is available for. In fact, not only is he doing a meet and greet, but he's doing there's like a panel for his that I've signed Full Tilt Deb up for. She has been signed to the panel for the life and career of Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan. So
did you buy out all the tickets? So it's just a one-on-one?
It's a one-on-one meet and greet. He's actually coming to our hotel room. He's going to sit in the hotel room and he's got a DVD of all his greatest matches, and we're going to start New Japan and all hit through.
I'm coming over.
Yeah, he's going to be there. Yeah, I love you too, honey. I love you too. But you might find yourself, if you're not careful in AEW, you might find yourself in a pickle. And that's where our image of the week comes from, is MJF hawking his special pickles, and no other affiliation, but Oh, breaking news here. Fletch in the chat tells us that
Wow.
that MJF showed up on Major League Wrestling attacking Mystico. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I like that they're keeping this feud going a little bit. I wonder, it's live on the YouTube channel. Well,
Yeah.
we want you to stay here live, but I'm sure you can check it out on the replay, and we'll be able to check it out. But very good
Double
stuff.
whammy. Pull up your computer.
Yep.
Pull up your computer, watch it on the side, put it up on your phone, and double whammy.
Oh, it's all good, Fletch. It's all good, dude. I mean, no.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Split it up.
You know, I know we're going to wait to the end of the show to show up the rankings, but I don't know. Did you have it tallied after Collision, Mind?
Yeah, I got the tally.
Okay, so, all right, good. We'll see where we stand after that because a lot happened both in, like I said, 24 hours, 26 hours of wrestling. The last 26 hours, lots happened, a lot of points at stake. But, man, Dynamite was real crisp. Was a real crisp show from start to finish. I love the fact that they did announce, just to touch base, like what you said, on the Casino Gauntlet matches, and then have those qualifying matches for that and continue that because, you know, in the past, I don't know if they've done qualifying matches. Maybe they've done first entry, but this makes it so much bigger. And it allows – I'd rather have a chaotic, fun Casino Gauntlet match because I love that concept versus a 16-man super all-star tag match, you know, something like that. But there's so much more at stake. And it really, I think we'll see the result of those will kind of be a crystal ball hint of what's going to happen later in the show, I feel like, too. But a lot going on. I love the way they started the show. I told mine, FTD, that you need a red Tony Storm for Down for All In. But this was a great way to kick off the show. And I'm loving her new look. And this feud, not that it wasn't already scorching hot, just really put a couple gallons of gasoline on this thing. And wow, love the way it started. And this is definitely the marquee feud. You know, as much as I would have maybe not wanted Mercedes to feud with Toni Storm and kind of do her own thing just to spread out the love of the TBS title and world title, this is definitely a marquee feud. And it's almost like, for both feuds, as much as I can't wait for All In, it's like I don't want them to end right away because I'm loving what both sides of the world title is doing right now so much. And we're going to be there for, you know, maybe the close of a chapter, close of a book to move on. But, man, it's going to be both matches epic, epic, epic.
Absolutely. You've got your essentially your top two female superstars going head-to-head in AEW. I mean, granted, you could argue that we have other favorites, but they've built up Mercedes to be the top female heel, and she's doing a great job. In the promo she cut tonight on Collision, I really feel like Mercedes has come around. I thought she had kind of a shoddy AEW start. She had a great New Japan start after WWE, but it was kind of weird how she didn't wrestle for a while after she debuted, but after her, like I said, I always point out that first Statlander match she had, and she's gotten so much more comfortable with her promos. I think she's really starting to find her character, find her voice as Mercedes Moné, the CEO. And this feuding with Toni Storm has just really, I think, brought the best out of her as a heel. And Toni, I mean, come on, Toni is just, you know, a next level genius with this character. I have a fear that Toni Storm is going to lose the belt. I have a feeling that Toni Storm's going to lose. I have a feeling that Mercedes is going to walk out of All In as the world champion, but I think that's going to be the top of the mountain, and there's only downhill from there. And I think from there she's going to start to lose belt after belt, and she's going to have this big crash out after that.
Oh man! So Tony's from England, right?
Tony's from Australia, but she's kind of
Mariah's from England, right?
Yeah. She's kind of changed her accent to kind of be more posh. But yeah, she's Australian. Good eye. Good on you.
Man, it's like Booker thinking wise. It's like you got Forbidden Door, such a huge show coming up a month later. Like, who do you want your champs going in? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, like, if a babyface wins the Casino Gauntlet, and we've seen AEW pit babyface against babyface, they're not shy of that. They're not the typical heel versus babyface for every match. So I don't know. I just feel like you can't ruin something, or you can't halt something with such big momentum with Toni Storm. But then you talk about momentum with the money train too. So it's like, I feel like it's a win-win with this one for many reasons, because you could see the redemption and get the title back from Toni down the line, and then you can have this just the heel-ness taken to level 20 from Mercedes with all the belts. She's going to need like her own Luther to help carry her belts. She's going to need like her minions to carry the belts, and all that. So like that would be really funny.
What if Luther turns on Toni and joins Mercedes?
That's such a good gimmick, though. It's like you can't the pops are so big. It's not worth switching that. There, I mean, Mina turning on Toni. There you go. I mean, that's something as well.
Only thing I'll say about Mina turning on Toni is that it doesn't make sense that Mina's going after the TBS title next week. Unless that's a ruse, but I don't know.
What if Toni costs Mercedes the TBS title next week, and then she's even more motivated and more pissed off at Toni Storm, because Mercedes attacked Toni tonight or yesterday, and then so Toni's going to maybe seek revenge on the show. Maybe she distracts her, and Mina wins the TBS title, and that's an easy way to get it off Mercedes, and she's just that much more furious.
Steven says that's interesting. If Toni caught, remember, and tonight in the promo, Mina made sure to tell Toni, don't get involved. Don't screw this up for me. If Toni gets Mina disqualified, Mina might turn on Toni. I think Steven's onto something there. Who knows? The fact that we're spending so much time talking about this highlights that this was the right booking. Even though I want them to run back Athena and Mercedes, this is the right booking. I think we're excited for it.
Real quick to touch on this, prediction shows for All In. So Mindrunner and I are going to have a Dynamite download off-air meeting tonight and tomorrow, and we'll talk about what makes sense with our All In plans and show times over the next couple weeks. We might do a preview show before we get down to Texas, just to have something out, maybe on that Tuesday or Monday night, something like that. But we'll stay tuned. We'll for sure have an answer for you by next week. But we'll post about our schedules and what we're going to do, because you never know. It's going to be a busy week down in Texas with Collision, Karaoke, StarCast, GCW, then All In. So we're going to do our best to squeeze as much content as possible, and then we do want to make sure we have a prediction show so everyone can get their bingo cards selected for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
But this was EVPs abusing their powers to make this even more higher up in the card. That's what I've wanted for many years ago or many months ago, is the EVPs to abuse their powers even more. Cut matches short and do different silly stuff like that to really make you hate them so much, the EVPs. And I know this was kind of not that significant to do what they did, but man, this match, Blake Christensen is just very, very talented. And I love that he's getting a lot of time. He's on top, but he's really showcasing
I like the fact,
with
I like
so many different people. And I got a question to a question to ask you after we talk about this match about in regards to people who lose a lot that are great. But man, what did you think of this match? And then what the stipulation we got afterwards?
I thought this was fantastic. I really like the Blake Christian Big Shotty Lee tag team. I think they ought to since Blake Christian calls himself Vanilla Baby, I think that they should call themselves the Chocolate Vanilla Swirl. I think that would be a great tag team for the two of them. Also, I thought Blake Christian was great on Sunny in Philadelphia as Rickety Cricket. I thought he did a great job playing that character. If you know, you know. But, I thought this was a great showcase for Swerve and Ospreay. I mean, it was ridiculous, the combos that they had for, the stomp and the one where there was one move where Swerve ducked and Ospreay came in with the hidden blade. So many great moves, and they're not jobbers. Christian and Shotty Lee are not jobbers. They're actually they're great opponents, and they really they actually have an opportunity to shine. I think that they need to get some more build up, but this was such a great showcase for these two. I thought it was fantastic. And then the aftermath, we're getting exactly what we thought we were good, what we wanted, but we didn't really expect the stipulation. We had, of course, we're getting the Bucks versus Ospreay and Swerve, but the stipulation is for the EVP position. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean the Bucks are going to lose their EVP status? Or is that going to have some kind of backfire stipulation on Swerve and Ospreay? Not sure how that's going to go.
The EVP's on the line. I'm testing this out. How's my volume now? I switched to a mobile device. How are we looking?
Yeah.
Better?
You're good. You're good.
Better?
Yeah. More consistent. Right. Yes.
Sorry. So I'm more consistent. That's where I'm going. So live on the fly adjustments. But I did not see. I don't know why I did not even think about this. See that coming with the fact that putting the EVP roles on the line. Ospreay is such a cheerleader for Team AEW and all this stuff going on. But the fact that we're going to have that on the line makes it so much more important. Not that we didn't need it. This match is going to be bananas, absolute bananas. And so I cannot wait for it. I know this could potentially, maybe I don't want it to open the show because you never know with people coming a little late, but it's going to be probably match of the night. I mean, with what we've gotten so far, like I feel like in terms of skill wise and in my style of wrestling that I like, Courtney, I'm filming a horror movie in the woods. I feel like I'm in the woods. I'm in kind of rural Maryland here, but I love the passion and the friendship that we're seeing out of these two guys as of last night. It's kind of strange. Like these guys were throwing haymakers at each other a few weeks ago, but you saw them tonight just kind of arm in arm. We are coming for you. And so like that key line where Ospreay's in the corner and he says, and then Swerve says we, but talk about star power and like, two superstars aligning, kind of similar to a Hangman Kenny Omega, where it's like you never really figured them to be a tag team or a true tag team. And then when they come together and you're like, we're spoiled. We are so spoiled that we're getting these guys as a tag team.
Absolutely. And I think it was very interesting in hindsight that they specifically singled out Swerve and told him that he is suspended, that he had to leave the building, because that actually plays into the main event, the shenanigans post main event, and the miscommunication that Swerve was unable to come to Hangman's rescue, but it kind of looked like he was choosing not to. So I wonder if that's going to But again, this is more proof that Tony Khan and AEW, they pay attention to Dynamite Download. Not only that, but we got the big hint that we predicted on this show. Aaron Loves Wrestling also predicted this. We all were clamoring for it, and we got a taste. We got a taste of Okada and Takeshita Oh, lordy. Now, the only bad thing about this, and Full Tilt Dev doesn't like me saying this, so earmuffs, Full Tilt Dev. I think this is hinting that Okada is going to win against Kenny. I think Okada's going to leave Okada's going to leave Arlington as the unified champion. Earmuff. Yeah, Full Tilt Dev says earmuff this. Because then he's gonna go on. But if you notice, Takesha's starting to feel like the stepchild now. You know, and again, Don Callis. I've used this analogy before, Tony Khan, but Don Callis is kind of like Andy. He's got Buzz Lightyear now in Okada. He doesn't need Takesha anymore, and so he's kind of like Takesha's starting to feel a little second hand. So I'm wondering if we're gonna get Takesha versus Okada. Yep, after the G1 tournament the week before. I think that would be incredible. I want this match, and I'm here for an alpha face turn and him to beat the crap out of Okada. We need this. I think it's going to be incredible.
So I saw something online. I wish I could take credit for this. It's like going through the all-in card, like Moxley, Hangman, and you're almost like predicting it, and it was like hard to predict. Mercedes, Tony, hard to predict. Bucks, Swerve, and Ospreay, hard to predict. Like there's no like in the past. When we've done our all-in predictions or pay-per-view predictions, we're kind of lockstep a lot of the things there, and matches are kind of like going to be entertaining but very predictable outcome in a sense. But this card like could go either way, and I know we feel like strongly about certain ones. However, this match with Okada and Kenny, along with all of the matches so far, in my opinion, other than the tag match, which hasn't been officially announced, could go either way. And I feel like it's a win-win because you just talked about it. Like if Okada wins, look what we can get moving forward with Takeshita and Okada feud. If Omega wins, then look what we can get moving forward with Kenny Omega, cleaner being one of everyone's, pretty much favorite wrestler, including mine. What could he be the first unified world champion? So it's like, and then same thing for all the other matches so far now. It's like a lot of win-wins as fans, but selfishly, obviously, we have our favorites who we want to win, and I want all the baby faces to win at all times. But storyline purposes, I feel like there's so many opportunities for us we're going to be entertained to the T, but the story is going to be kind of, I think a lot of stuff's going to shock us in a good way.
Yeah.
It may not be exactly, the fan favorite thing to do, like Okada winning, but I think it'll be a long-term payoff. Hot take that I was texting you, mine, was I would love to see the OG elites reunite eventually, at least one more time. So that being said, I would love to see Young Bucks go back to babyface, them rejoin with Kenny Omega, and then Hangman rejoin them as well. Just one last ride of the OG elite. Now looking at the landscape AEW, that seems months, if not years away.
Yeah, but it's interesting too. I gotta highlight Steven's comment here where he says, "Better keep Texas crowd happy." I think that's why Hangman's gonna win, because if Hangman doesn't win in Texas, Moxley's not making it out of the arena. They're gonna have themselves a lynching. But I think that's what's gonna happen there. I think we got you back to SPD, but the horror movie is
the wife was calling me, so I had to mute her on my phone since I'm using my phone. Keep going. I'm grabbing a refill.
All right, but I want to move. We'll go ahead and move on to. They do what's right for the fans, but sometimes there's a shocker. But then I think there's going to be another factor in the Kenny Omega saga or story, because if Kenny loses the belt, what if he reunites the Golden Lovers and Kenny and Kota go for the tag team titles? I mean, that's a possibility.
I think the tag team title division is wide open right now, and it's a good and a bad thing. You have Christian Cage and Nick Wayne, and then that promo backstage with MVP tonight was very interesting as well. But it's really hard to predict the tag team title division. I would love for, I mean, if you do the Golden Lovers, then you also still have Ospreay and Swerve. Like, I don't feel like they're going to be done with them after All In, win or lose. We'll see, because what programs do they have going on? Excuse me. So I think if Kenny does lose, then that is a good way to go beyond that. And we'll see. I don't know. Is Ibushi going to be here full time? What's his deal? Is it a part-time thing? Is he going to be wrestling
I don't know.
New Japan more? So we'll see. So that is definitely a good option. But if Kenny does lose, it's like, what? Now where?
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
I will say this.
Let's talk about this match.
Ibushi looked good, considering the last time I saw him in a match, he looked like he was still suffering CTE. Like he really looked shaky the last time we saw him in the ring. He looked really good in this match. Of course, Trent's another one of those go-to guys that he's going to put on a good match. You're gonna have a good dance partner no matter what. And Trent looked great. This heel turn with Trent is good, but I thought Ibushi, if I didn't already know Ibushi's history, I wouldn't have been like, I understand if people aren't impressed with Kota, but I think he was really decent in this match, and I think it's going to be pretty cool to see him continue to see where he goes with this. But I think if you don't just bring him back out of the blue. You bring him back when you've got some plans for him. So yeah, Kota was back.
Like, so, to piggyback on what you said, like the first few times I saw him in AEW, I was like, what's the big hype of him? And, not to be unfair to him, like I was not educated on his body of work in the Golden Lovers, but to be paired up with Kenny Omega and to have such a huge, pop and all that, and then his output in the ring, and I was like, I don't see the hype. But last night's match was definitely his best one that I've seen in AEW. I still am more impressed by others in AEW, but I think if that's what he was struggling with before, he definitely seems like he's more comfortable in the ring now.
Yeah, I think he's been training pretty hard. And then we got this. Another New Japan. If you're a New Japan fan, this meant a lot more to you than it did if you weren't familiar. But this was another New Japan dream.
I can't wait.
Match.
I just want more Okada. Like I feel like we've been still. You always like to bring up kind of like food analogies. I feel like we're still on like the appetizer main course, or it's like a multi-course meal, and we're just still getting like just little niblets. It's a tasting menu of Okada. I want full chef's table experience with him, and I don't want just the tasting menu. So maybe this could be the opportunity that him winning the Unified Championship, he is in the ring, every week, more often than not. Like, I want to know why they consider him one of the best New Japan wrestlers in the world, in history. So he has done great body of work in AEW. However, I want more Okada. Give us more Okada, please.
Give us what we want. And what we're getting next week is exactly Okada versus Ibushi. Going to be an incredible match for 300 Dynamites and 100 Collisions. We're going to find out as well. So that's going to be insane. And
almost 200 Dynamite downloads.
Yes, we're getting so close. We're at 194. I mean, if we're going to be getting, we might be hitting 200. Do you think we'll hit 200? I mean, no, we're not going to hit 200, but I don't know. Depending on if we count sporadic shows, what we're going to do. Jet Speed versus AR Fox and Ricochet. Poor AR Fox. Dude can't catch a break. Dude is so phenomenal in the ring. Ends up getting paired with Ricochet. definitely looked like he was not feeling this team. But again, he ended up being the workhorse, doing all the work for Ricochet. But then at the end, of course, this was again another showcase of jet speed being just phenomenal, and doing all kinds of crazy spots. Then Ricochet abandoning AR Fox and leaving him to it was 2-on-1 towards the end. AR Fox just being completely exactly like shoo. And as we saw in Collision tonight, it sounds like Ricochet has found his crew. And as predicted, I believe Aaron, the American Cowboy, predicted it's the Gates of Agony are now going to be Ricochet's
and SPD
crew.
was saying that all along. If you go back to some of our shorts, SPD, Gates of Agony. So I was able to watch some of Collision, so I didn't get to watch the full Collision because I was driving. So he officially made that.
Well, it's not official. No, Alex Marvez grabbed Ricochet from outside, asked why he abandoned AR Fox, and then AR Fox confronted him. But just as before Ricochet was about to say something, the Gates of Agony jumped AR Fox. And then they turned to Ricochet, and then Ricochet said, "Step into my office, let's talk." And they went around the corner. So Gates of Agony are going to be are going to be signing up with Ricochet, which that's quite the trio right there, I think.
Yeah, I like the aesthetics of that. I like the idea of big bad bullies doing some dirty work for him.
Yep.
And I got to give it to Gates of Agony. Last week match versus Jet Speed, they could have easily won that match. They looked fantastic. They were dominant. They were physical. They looked like the behemoth beasts that they are. And honestly, I think that was the best match I've seen Gates of Agony wrestle in AEW last week versus Jet Speed. And so I was very, very impressed by them. I loved how they manhandled both guys. And granted, Jet Speed's, getting the push that they are right now. Well, we'll see after what happened to them with the Hurt Syndicate. But Gates of Agony, very impressed by them. And I think when they had Brian Cage with them, they were very good as well. But Ricochet, I think, just is a whole different level of intertwining stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes. I would love Ricochet to have that trio as the title.
Ops versus Gates Agony and Ricochet would be incredible. You got to give your props to AR Fox, though. This is a dude. He's having a 30-night overnight success story. Can't catch a break. Can't get a W. But this guy was he was a great dance partner for these two, for Jet Speed. He was holding his own. He was doing these insane, he always flips forward where so many wrestlers do a backflip. He always flips forward, and I feel like he's going to land right on his neck, but he doesn't. He's so versatile. I really hope that he's got an opportunity to win the number 2 entry in the casino next week. He needs to get something. We need to give AR Fox a W because he was phenomenal in this match. I thought he was great. But
not only is he on Team SPD, but yes, I agree with you, Mindrunner, man. The guy has proven himself week in and week out and just doing some really great stuff. And one of my favorite moves is one of the front flip moves where he springs off the second rope, wraps his arm around the top rope, and then stomps on them on the apron. That move, I'm having to rewatch that. I'm like, what is going on in this move, logistically? And it impresses me every single time. But AR Fox is one of those guys that just is, it's so consistently amazing and fun to watch in the ring. And you just want to root for him. I'm glad he's not aligning himself with Ricochet. I want him to have, the sky's the limit with him. And it's great, man. I love what he's been doing.
Absolutely. Now, I'm excited for Jet Speed to take on the Hurt Syndicate. If they survive.
If they can walk.
If they're not dead by the time they get to Arlington, because as we saw, Jet Speed got the crap beat out of them by the Hurt Syndicate. And
That's
they
an
got put through a
understatement.
table on each other. And you got to give it to Speedball for really selling it. Like, they zoomed in on his face, and he's like, he had a great pain face. I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, we had the Hurt Syndicate show up, and then the Hurt Syndicate had a great promo. And MVP is always great on the mic. And then MJF cutting his promo, and he's taking so long. And then Mark Briscoe comes out, and I love the fact, look at the picture at the bottom, how Mark Briscoe, he ended up getting Bobby Lashley to break. You can see him laughing. Mark Briscoe.
That popped me for sure.
That was so funny. The pickle comment, and Alicia Toot even had to say, "No, I assure you, his pickle is big." Like, I'm sure he made her do that. But yeah, Mr. Little Sweet Pickles over there with the MJF, and he played it great. Everybody's playing their role. MJF works great with the Hurt Syndicate. You know it's not going to last, but once again, a good foil for MJF is of course Mark Briscoe.
I think we were hoping for different storylines to play out with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate and things like that. But yeah, to echo what you said, I really think it's working really good right now with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate. It's allowing them to get the heat that they really need, because they were getting a lot of cheers, and they were eating pickles at the media scrum, Steven. So they were getting a lot of good cheers, and they still do. However, like adding MJF and then MVP saying, "We're talking now," and all this stuff he's doing with the crowd, they're getting that heel heat back that they kind of lost, not in a bad way. They're just naturally getting over. But stuff like they did last night with the table spot, man, the booking is good there. It was unfortunate with the Gun Club, with how, their comeback was kind of stopped really short because of how over Hurt Syndicate was, because the crowd was kind of split. Now, before we talk about this match, real quick, like, who do you think? There's three wrestlers that come to mind right now that are so good in the ring, but continue to lose. And I know that's an important aspect and element of being a team player. And we're talking about Blake Christensen that come to mind. You can even name some of your favorites who always lose but are incredible in the ring. AR Fox and Beast Mortos. Like, at what point do you think one of those guys is gonna have to get a turn and not turn heel or turn baby, but get a push? Think about what happened with Willow. She started in the crowd, and she was kind of used as, I hate to say enhancement talent, but in one of those that gets wrestling almost every single week, but loses almost every single week. And all of a sudden there's a turn. Same with Harley Cameron, things like that. So AR Fox, Beast Mortos, Blake Christensen, those are guys who stand out in terms of that. Do you see any of those getting a turn anytime soon?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think even Beast Mortos, especially now that he's dating royalty in AEW. But you're talking about those guys that always put a great match, always fun, but they always lose. We were starting to see that change with this guy right here, because in fact MVP made it really clear that we're going to go in the back and watch Mark Briscoe do what he does best and lose. So that led us to this 4-way match. And up until this point, I thought it was going to be Takeshita winning the number 1 spot, which was really cool, because this doesn't mean you're not in the Casino Gauntlet. This is for the number 1 spot. You're going to be the first person. Of course, the Gauntlet, you want to be number 1 or number 2, because if you get the victory, the whole match is over, and you don't have to worry about 3, 4, and 5 and everybody else. But this was fantastic, and this was another reason why I just love Mark Briscoe in any match, and just his redneck kung fu is always phenomenal. And the result was, surprise, surprise, Chicken won the match, and I'm so excited that he did. Roderick Strong, I didn't think he was going to win. I would have been fine with Okada, Takeshita winning. I would have been fine with Bandito winning, or I've heard it's Bandito sometimes, depending on if he's had his tea and it's gone cold. But anyways, I do think that this was a great, incredible match. I love this chop picture right here. Just look at Roddy's chest just caving in. And then this was such a great spot. The double, the frog splash and the froggy bow all at once.
What a shot too there.
Oh, this is fantastic. Shout out to Scotty Leash on or I think it's Lech Leach. He comes up with the best pictures. If you get a chance to follow this guy, Scott, just go to if you go on Twitter, you got to find this guy, Scott. He goes by Scott Leash Scott Lesh 724. He is a professional AEW photographer, and he comes up with just the best photos. And as long as I give him a shout out on the show, he's cool with us using his photos. So check him out when you get a chance. I love this shot. I love this moment. It was great. And this,
what
I loved about this double suplex is the crowd stood up after this. Like, you got to see the whole crowd just jump up because this was so impressive. Excellent.
This was definitely a highlight of the match for sure. And, for Takeshita has consistently proven himself, like, pound for pound, being one of the strongest guys in the ring. And he doesn't look like a Brian Cage. He doesn't look like, someone totally jacked. But, man, does that guy have some power behind him. And that's why I would love to see him transition into babyface. And, I mean, the crowd loves him as he is. I mean, he was getting a lot of pops last night. So, definitely one of the cool spots of the night for sure.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then the women's match. And I was so stoked. I was stoked for this the moment they announced this. 4 of my favorites. And this was one where whoever won, I knew I was going to be happy. I had a feeling I knew who was going to win. I was thinking it was going to be Willow, but my gut was saying, with all the stuff going on with the Death Riders, which, if you remember that moment last week when Statlander had the face-to-face with Moxley, I thought that was
pretty
fantastic.
Cool.
Now, I gotta preface this here, and this is not a hot take or a rant, but I want to just be clear. This morning, Thunder Rosa was trending on Twitter, and a lot of times I expect she got something cool. Did she say something on Busted Open when something was going on? But there were some people hating on Thunder. Apparently, there was a botch. I didn't really see a specific botch or anything like that. There were 1 or 2 moments, just like in any match, where it would look like there was some miscommunication. But I thought this match was fantastic. I mean, you have a 4-way match. You had 4 of the best in the business, in the women's division, going at it. Great to see Athena. Willow, Stat. I thought Thunder was fantastic. And, just to talk about Thunder Rosa, I think there's some people that like to dogpile, and I'm sure some of it is residuals of that whole toxic Britt Baker stuff, because I'm not blaming Britt Baker, but there were a lot of people that took sides with the Britt Baker and the Marina Shafir, Thunder Rosa sandbag. There's people that like to make themselves feel better by dogpiling, even when there's no truth to it. Go and watch this match yourself if you haven't already, and tell me where where Thunder Rosa looked bad, because I thought she looked fantastic, especially if you look in the upper right when she did that double drop kick. That was phenomenal. Thunder looked fantastic. And another thing, ask the locker room, unless you're Britt Baker or unless you're Ivelisse, ask any female wrestler that has worked with Thunder Rosa. They're going to give you positive feedback, with 2 exceptions on the planet, and those people have been found out. So that's what I got to say. However, look at this 4. These are the 4. I wouldn't say they're the 4 horsewomen of AEW, but these are 4 of the best right now. And I love that Athena's getting some Dynamite and Collision time. And just the match, Statlander's the best bout machine in the women's division. Willow's the powerhouse. I love that she's back with the conglomeration 2.0, as we heard. And I just thought the whole match was fantastic. And who is this Brit character? I don't know. She was some jobber, Steven. I don't know. I speak for myself. Dynamite Download are fans of Britt Baker. I used to be one. I am no longer, but that's just me. I speak for Mindrunner, not for SPD. SPD is still a fan of the dentist. That's fine. But anyways, moving on. I love that Wheeler Yuta. He got pounced like a little bitch by Willow, but unfortunately, that was what allowed that distraction from Marina Shafir's what allowed Chris Statlander to get the 1, 2, 3. Now, I have a prediction. Mark my prediction here. They're setting up for women's tag team titles. In fact, it's been revealed that the titles have been created. They're already sitting there. And I think we're seeing what's the development. Tony's dipping his toe in this whole thing, provided they get some good airtime and some story. But I think what we're going to see, this storyline with Statlander and Shafir, is they're going to try to lure Statlander to the dark side to join the Death Riders. But ultimately, Statlander is going to say no, and Willow's going to come to her rescue, and they're going to rebuild Statlander and Willow. Marina Shafir is going to bring in her friend Shayna Baszler. So we're going to get Marina Shafir and Shayna Baszler versus Willow and Statlander. I am seated for that. That is what we need. That is going to be the pop. I'm excited. Let's do it.
A lot to digest in that from Team. I got SPD. I want to touch on this women's stuff as well. First off, we still got to announce our inaugural winners of the women's tag team title tournament that we haven't announced, which we can do that. We can save that for next week and kind of build a momentum and throw some confetti on there. So next week we'll announce our finale. Right now, the final two is Willow and Stat, which the way you're going on that path, the Yellow Brick Road sounds great for them to potentially be the inaugural women's tag team title tournaments. Then, because we have the final two is Megasis and Willow and Stat on the Dynamite Download brackets. I do like the DMD. She has a nice slogan, DMD, SPD. Without that aside, I know you mentioned that, but looking at this match, like you said, it's really awesome because early on in AEW, I was, I think, a little overcritical of the women's division, and yes, the growing pains of the women's division early on in AEW. I was not on team women wrestling with AEW. Honestly, I wasn't. I was letting Crayfish talk a lot about that and kind of be the quarterback of it. But the turning point, which I've said this on record, was the addition to Thunder Rosa in the division. Mm-hmm. And reason being, her aggressive, hard offense, her passion for wrestling. And that just really elevated the division. It shows and it is contagious in any match that she's in, and we saw it last night. You saw her coming out screaming. She was the last one out screaming, running around the ring. Look at that passion. Look at the excitement that she's in. How could you not want to root for her? How could you not want to go that extra mile in the ring if you're one of the other performers? And one of the big things that really I love about Thunder is her aggressive offense and those drop kicks. And she was the drop kick queen last night, and doing the stomps on Willow multiple times, doing the stomps on everyone. And then, like you said, top right corner, the double stomp there. And so I was loving her offense, loving her passion, loving her fire inside her, that match. And this is ultimately leading to what we're going to get, and hopefully is the main event of the Super Card of Honor of Thunder Rosa and Athena, because that is going to tear the house down. And we could and we should be saying, and new Ring of Honor World Champ in just about 2 weeks' time on that.
You could build. I mean, Athena has carried that title for so long, but you could build the show. You could build Ring of Honor around Thunder Rosa as well. If they're going for a TV deal, that's the thing. Is if they're going for a TV deal, Athena needs legit, authentic competition on Ring of Honor. She shouldn't have to come to AEW to get it. So if you're going to build up a Thunder Rosa versus Athena feud, heck, even have Thunder win the belt, maybe Athena win it back and have it back and forth for a while. I think that would be very compelling if you're trying to get a Ring of Honor TV deal. I think they have Roku they're working on or something, but I think that would actually be pretty cool if they can get some kind of deal. And I think this is if tag team titles. Thank you, Brent. Yep, I think we're gonna get Shayna Baszler in AEW at some point to be part of the Death Riders. And then two of my favorites. Oh my goodness, I knew this was gonna be crazy when they booked this. And kudos again to Frank Mortos, attorney at Raw, getting a main event spot. I loved it, and just brutal and flippy-do brutal, just so cool. It's funny too because in a way, not carbon copy clone, but they're very similar in style. Both are brutal strikers who can do the flips, who are very agile. Hanger doesn't mind doing a crazy cowboy shit moonsault. And Beast Mortos, he does that spin, that little sidewinder thing through the ropes. I thought this, the Rush because they're running out of time. I think I agree because there was so much to happen afterwards. But I would love for them to run this back again. I thought this was fantastic, and I think Hanger and Beast Mortos did a great job. I blame MJF.
I agree with you. Like, was anyone else kind of holding their breath during this match of Hanger, don't get hurt, Hanger, don't get hurt, Hanger, don't get hurt?
A little bit.
Because, Hanger doesn't hold back in his matches, and you never know if you could tweak a knee, break an arm, whatever it may be with any kind of thing. So I'm all for fighting to continue to build to the ultimate payoff. But at the same time, it's like we've had this build so much, like what would happen if Hanger, blew his knee out? How disappointing would that be? So it's like I was cautiously optimistic about this match. Thankfully, everything is all right. But I did not see the ending coming with the Young Bucks, when this coming out, the EVP trigger. Maybe this could be one of the last EVP triggers that they give going into All In. But now that they've kind of given the send-off to Okada being part of the Don Callis family with no struggle, I feel like, are they going to officially join the Death Riders moving forward? Like, do you see that happening? I mean, we're seeing these mega heel groups formed. Don Callis' family is now up to probably, 7 or 8 members? And if Brian Cage comes back, maybe a 9th member. And then Death Riders, if you get Claudio, which I'm not sure where the heck he's been, and Pac back, and then the Young Bucks, it's like you have these mega heel groups, which is, I think, works so good because, as I've said before, the Callis family is essentially it's the Callis family Collision, because the Callis family features so much on Collision, and he has a great roster of awesome wrestlers, and that's what Collision's all about, is the really good, technical, awesome wrestlers. But wow, this, as I said in the chat earlier, like, does anyone, and what do you think, Mine? Do you want the main event to have a stipulation, or do you want this to be just a slugfest mano-a-mano match? I mean, it's not going to be uninterrupted.
I want it to be a slugfest mano-a-mano match. Yeah, there's going to be shenanigans, but Hanger needs to beat Moxley clean in the ring. And one thing, I don't think Moxley's been pinned. I can't remember the last time he's been submitted. I can't tell you the last time Moxley's been pinned. Let me know. I mean, Texas Deathmatch would be incredible, but I think he's got to win clean in the middle of the ring. It's gonna be like the Avengers Endgame. Everyone's gonna show up. I thought when the lights went out, I thought, is Darby coming? And then again, I was wondering if Darby was going to show up and save Hangman, because this is, I mean, look where they are. But this was interesting. And then, of course, the Ops tried to make the save. And then, of course, we had Ospreay. And it was interesting, too, because I noticed that Swerve wasn't there. And I remembered, oh, he got kicked out. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing where you didn't come to help me, Ospreay did. But it turns out that it was because he was suspended. But ultimately, they're really playing up this drama, and I think you're going to see Swerve help Hangman at the end. And I think it's going to be Swerve. You asked before, are the Bucks going to finally nod their heads at Hanger? No, I think Swerve's going to be like, you owe me for this, and he's going to cash in that favor later on. Say I want the first title shot. But I think this is going to be crazy. Do I think the Bucks are going to join the Death Riders? I don't see that, because I don't see the Bucks being the same mentality as Moxley. I think that's too many egos. Moxley is good at controlling people that'll fall in line, but the Bucks won't answer to him. Even if they aren't EVP, even if they're not EVPs, they're not going to answer to him. They don't answer to anybody. I think you're more likely going to see eventually the Elite get back together before you see them join the Death Riders.
Well, see, that's funny you said that, because I feel like you have, if they lose their EVP titles, then they don't have these powers. But Moxley's whole thing is about keeping things hostage and protecting the business and protecting wrestlers. And so it's like you could almost have the Young Bucks join the Death Riders, or Moxley be like, join me, and we're going to show everyone what, true wrestling is all about, and all this, like, and that, like, if they lose their EVP thing, and they're going to do this kind of maybe like NWO style, and like kind of create their own rules and create their own thing. And like, I feel like the same kind of mentality that Moxley has, that he can pass along to the Bucks on that. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily have to listen to Moxley, but they can just agree with saying, Young Bucks can be like, all these fake wrestlers, all these this, how Moxley's been doing that, and show you what a real champion's all about. So I feel like that could be a direction they go. To piggyback on that, like the Moxley's last singles loss was a New Japan loss in 2024, and I was looking through his card list, and the last singles loss in AEW was in the Continental Classic in 2023 versus Jay White. And so, unless I'm misreading anything, but that's a singles loss. And so he's been pretty protected, which I'm all for. I mean, he's lost in multi-man matches and things like that. But in terms of pin, I think that was it. Like, he lost, I'm trying to think what, New Japan, I think the World Heavyweight title or something like that for New Japan. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tetsuya, or what is it, the World Heavyweight title in 2024 in June, almost a year ago. So that was his last loss, singles loss.
If I may, I gotta share this what Fletch was talking about earlier. Let me share my screen. But from Wrestling Purists, check this out. This was on MLW.
Take his mask and systematically deconstruct his identity. There's more. Oh no.
No, it's MJF because he did a low blow.
Yep.
And a man in a mask. And what the hell? What in the world? Huh?
He looks a little different.
What?
Yeah.
He doesn't have his tan.
You've got to be kidding me.
That's right. He doesn't have a can of spray tan.
Look at everybody.
On AEW Dynamite, and fought Mexico in Arena Mexico, and MJF has come to MLW to continue his war with Mexico. What the hell is this?
Getting some good heat.
Shut up.
All right. Well, if you want to watch that, go to Wrestling Purist. You can catch the whole clip. I don't want us to get demonetized for that. But let's talk our again. Man, it was a coin toss. It was maybe it was a dice toss actually with this whole thing. But I agree with your pick but I had to go with AR Fox because I felt like he carried that match. I mean, I'm going to say he carried that match. That's the wrong way to say it. He had to really step up and to be the dance partner for Jet Speed and to be Ricochet's partner. He really shined in that match, and I thought he did great. But but Mark Briscoe also well deserving of your top performer pick.
100%. And I mean, I don't even need to say more, but if you weren't going to pick AR Fox, I was going to pick AR Fox. And it's very unique. We look back at our top performers, both guys, we should almost keep track of like how many times they've been, this is the 10th time they've been our top performer. Both guys have been consistently our top performers or close to our top performers of the night, and not necessarily are winning the match. And that says a lot about it. And so I know AR Fox is on Team SPD. Let's talk about, as we're wrapping things up, where we stand with after Collision. So this is finishing week, 3 of our draft. Where are we standing with our draft season 6 standings?
Here we go. And look at this. Look who's at the top.
Woo! I'm tied for the top, baby.
Unbelievable. Now, Steven and I are battling out with 8 points. Brent was 7. Brent picked up a cool Templario got a W for him tonight. Bobby at 6. Aaron is with 4. Courtney with 4. Crayfish 3. And the sexiest caboose of all time is Full Tilt Deb. But like we've said, do not sleep on Full Tilt Deb, because she is notorious for all of a sudden just shooting up the rankings. She almost caught you last season, so anything can happen, and it's gonna be a wild week. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Man, if Orange Cassidy comes back, man, that was a sleeper pick. Hopefully he does come back and then helps Team SPD out. That would be great. But hey, it's a tight race and lots of wrestling ahead of us. But and I know we didn't get to touch much based on Collision because it kind of thrown us for a loop. I don't know when Collision is going to be aired next week. They haven't announced that. I don't know if it's going to be on Saturday or if it's going to be on Thursday as well. But it's for sure Thursday, the week of All In, because we are going to it live on that. So, but a lot of stuff. But, real quick before we wrap up, what was your match of the night, the Collision card?
Match of the night. They all were really good. I actually thought the Aminata Sky Blue card match was pretty good. Sky Blue,
it was really good.
She Sky Blue. We forget that she is good with the hardcore stuff. Aminata doesn't hold back either. I did think it was interesting the aftermath as well. Aminata got the W, but you had Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and then you had Tekla came out and joined in on beating up Aminata. Then Ty J comes out, and then you had Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. Now, if we didn't know the stuff about the tag team stuff, you might just think, oh, this is all setting up the gauntlet. But I think you're sizing up some tag teams, with the exception of Thekla and Aminata. I think we're seeing some potential there. I thought that was fantastic. To me, that was the standout match of the night.
Or they can do a triple threat trios match somehow with Megasis recruiting someone. But, to talk about that, like when we saw what we saw on Dynamite with those 4 ladies, the 4, let's say, almost the new 4 pillars of AEW, with in and of themselves, with Athena, Willow, Stat, Thunder, and then you talk about the world title picture with those 2, and then everyone that was featured on Collision. Man, the division is stacked. The division is looking good. They're looking solid top to bottom. And we still don't have Rio, Sheeta, Serena Deeb. Like, there's so many, Camille, so many people that are just not off. There you go. Yeah, Steven, we're on kind of the same thing. Where's Serena Deeb? Well, I think she's going for something with Ring of Honor. But there's so much more in the division on that. So it's a fun, exciting time for those of you who love women wrestling in AEW. But my match of the night was the Kyle's match.
The Battle of the Kyles?
Yeah.
Yep. And Kyle Danielson versus Kyle Fletcher.
We Kyle people. Holy cow! Holy cow! This is Kyle.
Clap, clap. Yeah, and Camille's gonna be on American Gladiators with Wardlow. Hater's hurt again. I did not know she was hurt. I thought that was just a gimmick to. I didn't. That's. How long is she out, Brent? I didn't know this. I thought that was just a gimmick to keep her off TV until she feuds with Tekla again.
Well, hey, we never. That's the glory of the Casino Gauntlet. You never know who's going to show up.
Yep.
We could get a Rio return, a Sheeta return. In terms of women, we can get a Darby return, an OC return, a Cope return. You never know.
I think you know him.
I know.
I wonder if it's been 90 days for Shayna Baszler, or has it been 90 days for Braun Strowman? Imagine Braun Strowman showing up at the Gauntlet. You know, I mean,
right.
I don't know if you're a big Braun Strowman fan, but just a big guy like that would be interesting to have in AEW. Yes, the world is cold. I think they're saving Eddie for the Moxley stuff too, but we'll see. That'd be interesting.
I am a big Braun Strowman fan, so I do enjoy him. Well, we're kind of running out of time, but thank you all for joining us. Mindrunner and I are we'll post some of our shows and stuff, but we'll see you next week for episode 195. And then, man, our bags are almost packed. I'm going to have my suitcase out very soon, starting to pack all my Dynamite download gear. Got some fresh stickers for anyone who's going to be down in Texas to pass them out to anyone and everyone. And we'll be doing some tagging anywhere we got. But thank you guys, and sorry for the technical difficulties, and enjoy all y'all in the chat. Always a great time, and good luck this week in the standings, and we'll see who's at the top of the chain next week, this time on episode 195.
And for one of the last times ever, here we go. Giddy.
I'm your huckleberry.